Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got an interesting show for you. Joe has gotten an MRI, it appears, based on photographs that we've seen. And we're going to talk about two key players that will need to be stopped in the South Carolina game, or at least slowed down. We can't stop them, but we can probably slow them down, and we're going to need to. We're going to get into a little Carolina preview and also talk a little bit about Joe and a whole lot of other stuff. All right, let's talk about Joe first. Of course, we know for the first time he really tried to run in the game Saturday, which was a huge benefit right off the bat, ran for 81 yards, and it's because nobody respects his running ability. They just assume he's going to hand it off because that's typically what he does. Well, this time he did the run read option and came right around the corner and held onto the ball, which surprised the crap out of the defense. They were not expecting that, and he was gone. And as we know, he literally outran the safeties who are half his size. So that speed's been there the whole time. And again, if he becomes a dual threat quarterback, that changes the equation quite significantly. And it changed the defense for UTSA. They didn't quite know what to do. And then he kind of had a free-for-all there for the first two quarters, going 14 for 19, and really had no issue. He looked very accurate. Then he got his knee bent back due to a sack. And after that, he went 4 for 12. So he went from 72% completion rate and killing it to 33% completion rate. I think the knee definitely affected him. It affected his throwing motion a little bit. Looked like he was using his arm a little too much. And he might have been concerned about it or may have been bothering him. But we do have a picture on social media. We can show you where it appears he was at UT Medical Center. And this was on Twitter or X. And here's the picture of him at checking in, I guess, to get an MRI. And this was on Richard G. West's Twitter account. And it talked about an early speculation that Joe will miss several games, et cetera, but I don't think that's the case at all. And Josh Heupel spoke about it today, and he said it's very routine on Sundays. They get everybody checked out. Look, Joe played the rest of the game, and he also said that he was with the guys on Monday, so I expect him to practice. I'm not hearing anything, any big rumors or anything that he's got a major knee injury or anything like that. He's probably bruised his knee and probably strained some ligaments and things along those lines. But the fact that he played the rest of the game and seemed to be moving decently, I think he's going to be okay long term. And that's exactly what I would have done. I would have had an MRI done on it. I mean, I would have if I was him, and if I was the head coach, I'd want that done. You want to make sure, especially when it's right there and it's not like it's any skin off anybody's back to do that. Probably a bit of a red herring at this point. Now, we're going to need him to be very mobile in this game because South Carolina is going to come after him. They probably think he won't run because of the knee. If he's fine, he could burn them. He could really burn them big time. And I'm sure we'll get updates throughout the rest of the week and have a little better knowledge of what's going on. Certainly if he's out there practicing and looking good, I don't think it'll be too big of an issue. Heupel downplayed it pretty big time. I'm also hoping that Cooper Mays will be in that game. It sounds like there's a pretty good chance of it. I'm leaning towards thinking that he will play. He's dressed out the last two times. And he's at a point in time where it looks like that would be about the period of time you'd need for the surgery that he had. So I'm kind of expecting him to play in this Carolina game. I wasn't really sure about the UTSA because I don't know how necessary it was that he be there, whereas the South Carolina game, you're really going to need Cooper. And one thing that was encouraging, Joe's numbers, he had an 86 QBR, which I think that's the highest he's had all year. He's been down in the 50s and 60s, so that's a very good QBR. That tells me he's efficient and actually played quite well. And, of course, he had 2 touchdowns. The average, the 6.7 average, that's a little bit low. He needs to be up around 9-10 yards, so that's a bit of a concern. But I think a lot of that has to do with the behind-the-line screen passes that he throws on a regular basis. All right, now we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is actually Spencer Rattler. He has been probably the best quarterback in the SEC this season. He's really played well. He finished the year off last year strong. And the big thing is he looks very confident out there. Look, he got absolutely rocked in the North Carolina game, which they lost, because he had 9 sacks. Now, Spencer will sometimes hold on to the ball a little bit too long. He's got a little bit of a hero thing about him where he likes to, save the day and all that. And that can lead to sacks, but not 9. 9 times is a lot.
9 times?
9 times.
So they finally, looks like they've shored up that offensive line a little bit, and they're giving him some time because he had a heck of a game against Mississippi State. As you can see right here, he was 18 for 20, which is 90%. That's amazingly good. 288 yards. Look at his average, 14.4 yards per pass. 3 touchdowns, almost perfect QBR of 96.7. He about couldn't have played a better game. That was really strong. And Mississippi State is an SEC team, so it's not like they were playing Little Sisters of the Poor. They ran the ball pretty well, had 144 yards. Spencer Rattler was a third of that with 43 yards. So, you got to watch this guy. He's got a little bit of a Hendon Hooker about him. And then we got one other player that's a big problem, and that's Xavier Leggett. He caught for 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he has been balling out. Ever since Juice Wells went out with an injury, foot injury, Leggett has been really playing well, and those are the 2 guys you need to be focused on because they're going to be relying heavily on Spencer Rattler to Leggett. And I also expect Spencer to run as well. So I think there'll be a heavy focus this week on the defensive side, certainly from Tennessee's point of view, of trying to figure out how to stop those 2 guys. And part of it is you're going to have to put a lot of pressure on Spencer Rattler, and he's a good scrambler, but you're going to have to put pressure on him. If you let him sit back there, he's going to pick you apart. And Leggett will need to be double teamed. He's just that good. He is a freak athlete, strong, fast, got great hands. He's going to be playing on Sunday. Both of these guys are going to be playing on Sundays. I've pretty much determined that Spencer Rattler's probably going to be a first-round draft pick. He could easily be a first-round draft pick. If he continues to play on this level, he definitely will be. And Leggett is also going to be playing on Sundays. So these are 2 guys you're going to need to focus on. If they can be slowed down, we can probably win this game. If they go all out on us, it's going to be very difficult. Now, one thing, Juice Wells, who is their actually best wide receiver, again, is out with a foot injury. And if you'll remember him, you may not want to remember him, but he had 11 catches for like 176 or 77 yards last year against us. And, I mean, he just absolutely had a field day out there with Spencer. So you won't have to worry about Juice Wells. It appears he's going to be out this coming week, according to Shane Beamer. I know one thing for sure. We're going to make sure at halftime that the referees that handle the yardsticks have plenty of hot dogs available because that really upsets Shane Beamer. If you know anything about Beamer, he gets really mad about hot dogs, and that also hurts him when he tries to do his onside kick. So be looking for tricks and foolishness from Shane Beamer. He actually went for 2 points last week in a game he had no need to do so against State, and it almost cost him the game. And I don't really understand why he did it. It was 20-14. They were going to go up 21-14, and he decided to do a 2-point conversion. Now, the guy was open, but their guy who was going to throw the ball actually didn't throw it quite hard enough, and it could have gone back for 2 points the other way, which would have been a real disaster. That was a risky play, and it really wasn't necessary, but Beamer loves to do that kind of crap. So I would fully expect either an onside kick or some kind of trick play in this game, whether it's a fake punt or whatever, especially if he gets behind. But not necessarily. He can do it when he's ahead. He loves trick plays. So I'm sure Coach Heupel's fully aware of that. I have no doubt. And at this time, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Eco HVAC. And they do have 3 locations, North City, which is right next to Knoxville, as you can see here on this map, Jamestown, and also Dunlap. And why am I talking about HVAC? Because if you let your system go down, it is horrible. And I've had that happen to me. And the whole key to it is maintenance. You've got to maintain your HVAC units, especially in the summer and the fall when it gets so hot. If you've ever had that happen and had your home turn into an oven, it's just awful. And the older that I get, the more important it is. And I know a lot of folks that watch this channel, you're not exactly spring chickens, and you don't need to be sitting in a house that's 85, 90 degrees. And Eco HVAC actually has a maintenance agreement that they're working on. It's a really good special. And the first 15 people that call will get this deal. And the maintenance agreement includes a package that includes 2 visits, 21-point inspection. You will also receive a free UV air cleaner, which actually is the same type of units they use in hospitals. It's an over $1,100 value, and you'll get that included in the maintenance agreement for free. So give Eco HVAC a call. Look, there are times you just need to call the man.
Just call the man. Just call the man.
Exactly. Don't sit back and wait until your unit goes bad and then you have to replace it, because I've had to do that in my past. And you don't want to go through that. It can be very, very expensive. For me, it was over $8,000. So I have learned my lesson on that. So maintain your HVAC, take care of it. It'll take care of you. And do not be like Aunt B.
Why didn't you call the man?
I should have called the man like you said.
Exactly. Just call the man. All right, folks, did want to cover this. Like I say, Joe getting an MRI, that does not surprise me. I would have absolutely done that. And it sounds like he's clearly going to be playing this week. I don't think that's going to be a big issue. I would be shocked if there was a significant problem, especially after he played that whole second half and seemed to be moving pretty good. And he moved better as the game went along and made a couple of real nice throws at the end. But these two guys, Spencer Rattler and Leggett, I'm going to tell you right now, if they have a field day, we're going to have a bad Saturday. We've got to contain and control those guys, and they need to double-team Leggett, and they need to have a spy on Spencer Rattler. You're going to have to focus on those two guys because they're really the key to victory for South Carolina. And if we can contain them, I think we'll be fine, especially at Neyland. Look, Neyland is a huge advantage, just like their stadium was for them last year. It's going to be at 7:30 at night, too, which is ideal for us. Because at 7:30, I can promise you there'll be a lot of UT fans that are highly spirited, if you know what I mean.
You fellas been doing a bit of boozing, have you? Sucking back on Grandpa's old cough medicine?
No, oh no, sir.
No. Exactly. Very high spirits, I'm assuming, and they're going to be loud. Oh my gosh, are they going to be loud? And South Carolina will have false starts. They'll have 3, maybe 4 false starts that have nothing to do with anything but how loud it is. And I don't care how good Spencer is. He will struggle with that noise. Every quarterback does. Every team does. And when Joe's out there playing, it's going to be quiet as a church mouse. That's why we've been undefeated since last year at Neyland, and hopefully we continue that streak. We'll see. South Carolina's better than 2-2, by the way. They've lost 2 games, one of which was to Georgia at Georgia, and the other one was North Carolina, which is a game I thought they should have been heavily in that game. Had they protected Spencer Rattler better, they would have been. He still threw for 350 yards with 9 sacks. And if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover the Vols and all our opponents, SEC, all that good stuff. And just hit this little button right here. Get you subscribed. Will get you my videos much easier. Helps the algorithm find you, and you won't have to hunt for them. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.